Hey, this is IndigoMusic.com. I'm Rohit, and it's time for yet another edition of Founders Frequency. And this is, of course, in association with TiE Bangalore chapter. And this is where we talk to founders from different fields and also how to be a founder, what should one do, and what one should not do when they are taking on this entrepreneurial journey. And joining me today are two special guests. I've got the CEO and founder of TeOra Life Science Private Limited, Rishita. Good morning. Welcome to IndigoMusic.com.
Good morning. Very nice to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
And I've also got Harish, who's the general manager and director, if I'm getting your designation right, Harish.
That's right, Rohit. Glad to be here and nice to talk to everyone.
Now, I want to start off with Rishita. Tell me, what does TeOra does? What field are you in?
So, we are in the field of biotechnology.
Okay.
TeOra started with a goal to align on three things, right? One is use biotechnology to solve very large problems, which would have very large impact in a relatively short amount of time. So then I come from human pharmaceutical background, and when we were looking at problems, of course, most of the things that everyone wants to do is build, let's say, the next cancer drug or next solutions for human use. However, that journey is quite long. So we were looking at problems outside this, which we face here locally within India, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that we realized that food production, something that we eat every single day, is not entirely optimal.
Hmm.
We've noticed that 1 in 3 calories is lost to pests or diseases. That is a third of your food already lost. And when
Right.
this comes to aquaculture, this number doubles. The losses are, anywhere close to 70%, sometimes going all the way up to 100%. Aquaculture is set to feed a third of the world by the end of this decade. So, we are here to make aquaculture and food production sustainable. The way we do it is we do that using biotechnology, by building new solutions for disease management, for pest management, which are natural, sustainable, and completely healthy, so that we move away from these harmful chemicals while we continue the amount of food that is required for our entire growing population.
Right. Fantastic. And Harish, tell me more about your role with TeOra and what were you doing before TeOra?
So I currently look after the entire India operations. So I come from a background of biotechnology myself, did my bachelor's from IIT Roorkee, then jumped into corporate. So I was working with AI-assisted diagnostics and AI-assisted drug discovery prior to this with larger pharma companies. But then I got to know about a lot more things regarding the food production space, and especially more about my own region as well via Rishita, because maybe this is something that many of us not know about
Hmm.
is India is one of the top producers when it comes to aquaculture. We
Okay.
come in top number one or two when it comes to shrimp or fish production overall. And this is something even I wasn't aware of. And then when I started talking to Rishita and got to know a lot more about it, I realized that the region that I come from, which is Andhra Pradesh, is producing 80% of the aquaculture.
Hmm.
And the on ground situation of these farms is extremely difficult when it comes to disease outbreaks and others. Just last year also, tons of farms have gotten into disease outbreaks and have lost their entire livelihoods as part of it. Right. So this was quite close to me because of that. And hence I joined on the journey with Rishita, and it's been a great journey so far.
So basically, your company has to do a lot with seafood and the cultivation of fish, and so that's the whole idea behind this.
In production of fish and shrimp, that is what the farmers are doing already. We
Yeah.
make these farmings more efficient by providing them solutions for diseases that these animals get, right? So there are viral diseases, bacterial
Yeah.
diseases, very similar to what we have in humans, right?
Yeah.
But currently, there are no solutions available for these diseases because, human vaccines, as you know, we take it by injection. Like
Correct.
injecting every single small prawn or shrimp is near impossible. So
Yeah.
now we make these vaccines orally available to these animals, which can then just be coated on the top of their food and serve the purpose of providing immunity and protection against these diseases.
Absolutely, and I can connect to this because I have two aquariums in my house. I'm not saying it's the same, but some of the time, some fish they fall sick, and there are medicines that we keep them in a hospital tank that we call when it comes to a hobby, and we cure them using that. And sometimes you can't do anything much about it. But yeah, now I get what TeOra is all about. But I want to talk to you, Rishita, about your journey before you started TeOra. Tell me. what were you doing, and how did this idea about TeOra come about?
Yeah, so I come from like Marwadi families where, you're supposed to either get married as a woman or get into business very early on. But my journey sort of digressed. I did my master's at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, finished my PhD at ESTAR in NUS,
Mhm.
did my postdoctoral research between Mechanobiology Institute, collaborating with the Columbia University in New York. All along this, I was studying how cancer develops, how we can have regenerative medicine so that, we can develop like new eyes, so material science, synthetic biology. Then I was working with startups again on the AI medtech space, which is what brought me back to sort of, let's say, commercialization of the technology and business world.
Right. And tell me, what are some of the challenges that you had to face when you started TeOra?
So we started TeOra and COVID hit. So
Okay.
not the best time to start a company. But those are not everyday challenges. But as an entrepreneur, especially as a woman entrepreneur, there are a lot of challenges along the way, right? Like, and those revolve around, is your technology applicable? Is it at the price point that the farmers want? So we always go in with a philosophy that we are going to solve a problem. We are not going to try to fit a technology to a problem.
Hmm.
So to solve a problem, we can have any number of interdisciplinary solutions. So then we went out and built a team of experts in bioinformatics and synthetic biology and infectious diseases to come together, material sciences, which I also have expertise in, to come together to be able to solve this problem. So building that team was like quite critical as well. And of course, then you have the usual fundraising issues which got amplified during COVID, but we are supported by some of the best funds, especially in the agri-food space globally. So we are very thankful for that. And it's essentially like if you persist and if you show that what you're doing, like the product really works, the customers really want it, then you have a business.
Absolutely. And speaking about team, Harish is of course with us. Harish, tell me, what are some of the difficulties you with TeOra from the beginning?
No, I joined TeOra just 1.5 years back. Uh,
Okay.
it's been primarily a one-woman show since the beginning, and then I came in to assist Rishita in one way or the other.
Okay.
But what really drove me to TeOra was the passion behind it,
Mhm.
right? It's some like it feels like a very flowery word to say, but when you see somebody passionate about solving the problems on the ground, it doesn't matter what the pay package is, it doesn't matter what the other things are. All it matters is what's the impact that you're generating at the end. And
Yeah.
this is something that seems quite impactful for me. And thanks to this, I've also been able to sort of reconnect back with my own roots. So that also sort of drove me to TeOra. But yeah, ever since I've joined, it's been a challenge day after day, like because whenever you're going from 0 to 1, the challenges are quite different from when you go to 1 to 10 or 10 to 100. So it's quite a fulfilling journey in that way.
Fantastic. And Rishita, tell me, if you were to give a piece of advice a lesson probably that you have learned the hard way with TeOra to budding entrepreneurs who are listening in or watching this, what would that be?
So usually, I think most entrepreneurs will ask, how many do you want?
Huh.
But I think the most important part is like, stick with the problem. So one of the things that happened very early on was there was this hype of alternate proteins and,
Yeah.
cell culture based meat. And we were very well poised technologically to be able to solve those problems. But we said, no, that's not the problem of today. We were very focused on, solving problems of today that would have an impact. If you really believe that the problem is large enough and if you validated the market enough, stick with it, because a lot of people will tell you, like, go do X, go do Y, go do Z. Like the only people you need to listen to is the customers, and and really evaluate internally whether your technology can solve it at the price point that is required.
You are with the company for 1.5 years. So tell me about, your thoughts on how should one take a company forward?
Definitely. So generally, whenever it comes to companies, right, what we see is people looking to raise funding and then keep moving things forward. But at the same time, you should also look at your business from the perspective of whether it's scalable enough and can we make a profitable business out of it.
Mm.
So even within TeOra, that has been our goal since day one. Like, how do we make profitable business at with lower, like for example, for any biotech company, you would see Invest or others, you would see millions of dollars of funding available, which is not probably the case in Asia or similar sort of ecosystems out here. So we've been able to do a lot more with the limited amount of means that we had, while using grant money and while leveraging awards and other ways of funding our research activities.
Yeah, well said, Harish. Rishita and Harish, thank you so much for connecting. And it's always great on Founders Frequency when we get to learn new things. I never existed there was a market for this until today. Like how TeOra is solving a, I think it's an important problem because this also comes under the farming, in that same category, in the same branch. I think that's a great job that both of you are doing. And, once again, wishing you all the best. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day ahead.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you
Rohit.
so much. Great to be here. And yeah, beyond aquaculture, this we are really looking to impact entire food production by solving viral problems for plants as well. So it's great to be able to talk about these problems because like food, something that we eat every day, is taken for granted, and not many people know what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. And since I have some of my family members in farming, I can understand when the crop doesn't, because of, like you said, pests, it hurts a lot. And I think it's a great initiative, I would say, when it comes to the aquaculture and, of course, with plants, like you mentioned earlier. Yeah, once again, thank you so much. Great job, guys. And we'll catch up soon.
Thank you, Rohit. Very nice to
Thank you,
meet you.
Rohit.